Hey everybody, I'm Danica and this is Yoga with Danica. Welcome to day one of our yoga series for the absolute beginner. The theme for today is show up. You're here, you're already doing it, and we're just going to keep showing up exactly as we are, without judgment, starting today, every day for the rest of our lives. That's the plan. So all you're going to need today are 2 yoga blocks. And we're just going to start by learning the foundational yoga postures, the movements of the spine, and some breath work that we will continue to build upon every day of the series. I'm so glad you're here. Make your way onto your mat, open your mind and spirit, and let's get started. So we're going to begin with some breath work. All you're going to do right now is find a comfortable place where you can be for about a minute. So you can sit flat on the ground with your legs crossed or extended out. You can sit on a block or 2 blocks or a stack of blankets or a chair. We're only going to be here for about a minute, so just find a place where you can be. And then once you're there, close your eyes and sit really tall. And without changing anything, just notice where you're beginning from today. Notice the speed of the breath. Notice if it feels isolated to one area of the body or is it moving freely. Does your breath feel shallow? Or are you able to breathe all the way down into the low belly? And there's no judgment, you're just noticing where you're beginning from. So we're just going to take 5 deep breaths together. So you're going to breathe in through the nose, and at the top of your inhale, see if you can take in just a bit more air before you exhale very slowly out through the mouth. And then at the end of your exhale, see if you can push out, draw your navel all the way in towards the spine, push out any stagnant or stale energy or breath. And that's all. So go ahead, empty out all the breath, inhaling through the nose. Take in a bit more air. And then exhale, let it go. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. Last 3 rounds on your own. Try to really take your time with each breath. And this last one, see if you can fill up the low belly, maybe even the low back. And then pausing for a moment and just checking in with your breath now. Noticing if anything has shifted or changed already, just with 5 intentional breaths. And then you can blink the eyes open. So I think before we begin the movement part of this series, I just want to really enforce that the breath is the most important part of yoga. It's way more important than the yoga movements themselves. So let the breath lead you or guide you into the movement, and also let it tell you when a movement is not okay for you. I'm only here to offer suggestions. You know your body, you are in your body, so follow what feels right to you, always. Okay, with that said, Let's make our way into a stable tabletop position. You can set your props off to the side. We're going to come onto hands and knees. And we're just going to start to learn the movements of the spine and the importance of a strong foundation. So first we're going to come onto our hands and knees and spread the fingers really wide. So when I first began practicing yoga, I noticed I had a lot of tension in my hands and it made a lot of the postures very difficult for me. So I want to offer a couple of suggestions for you if that's where you're beginning from. If it's unbearable, you can come onto your fists and practice this way, practice almost everything this way. This will help strengthen the wrists. Another option is to have blocks when we're on hands and knees that you can hold on to, and that will also help take some of the pressure out of the wrists. But if you want to work on alleviating the tension in the palms of the hands, it really is just going to take a little bit of practicing stretching them out and releasing that held tension, because we don't typically do this in our everyday lives. So we'll come on into our stable tabletop, fingers spread really wide, and we're going to press through the first finger pad, right at the base of the first finger. Press down through that knuckle. And then claw the earth with the fingertips. So this is a very strong foundation. It's, for me, the first thing to go is I lift my first finger off of the mat, and then I'm solely relying on my wrists to do all the heavy lifting, and that's no good. That is no good. So we got to continue coming back to pressing down through that first finger pad, because that just keeps us grounded through the whole hand, and clawing the earth with the fingertips. And then without judgment, just notice if you are here dumping your weight into your shoulders. It's very common. Don't judge yourself. Just show up to where you're beginning from. We're going to press down through the hands just to lift up and out of the shoulder girdle. And then reach the crown of the head forward and the tailbone far behind you. It's a micro movement, but feel spaciousness in the sides of the body. So we want to find this level of extension in the spine before any of the other spinal movements. So we always find extension and then twist. We'll find extension and then fold. We'll find extension and then do a back bend. So extension, breath comes first. Extension comes second in the spine. We're going to drop the belly down and reach the heart forward and through. The crown of the head and the tailbone are pulling up towards the sky, coming into a little back bend on hands and knees. Find that strong foundation in the hands again. Press through the shoulders. Press down through the hands to lift up out of the shoulders. Reach the heart through. And then on your next breath out, just round the spine. The crown of the head and the tailbone point towards the ground. Shoulder blades move apart. Breathe into the back of the body. And then inhale your way back into your spinal extension, stable tabletop. Find that foundation in the hands again. Press down through the hands, lift up out of the shoulders. And then we're just going to move with your own unique breath through those two movements. So we'll drop the belly down, reach the heart forward and through into our cow pose. Crown of the head, tailbone lifts. And as you exhale, you'll press down to round the spine, crown of the head, tailbone moves towards the ground. Let the shoulder blades part. Inhale draws the belly down, heart forward and through. Exhale, rounding the spine. 2 more rounds. Inhale, draw the belly down, heart forward and through. Exhale, round the spine. Last one. Cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Inhale, stable tabletop. And then let's sit back on the heels. Maybe you'd like to roll out the wrists. So before we continue going, know that you can pause and stop and come to this place of rest or come back to the breath anytime that you need. You don't need to keep up with me if it's just not, if it feels like too much for you, if you feel overwhelmed. Pause for a moment, take a few breaths, and meet back up with me whenever you're ready. Okay, we'll find ourselves back in our stable tabletop when you're ready. Bring the knees just a little bit wider than the hips. Extend the spine really long. Find that strong foundation in the hands. Spread the fingers wide. Press down through the first finger pad. Claw the earth with the fingertips. You're going to hear that a lot because that's the first thing to go for me, so I figure maybe other people need to hear it too. Place the right hand underneath the nose and bring the left hand to the low back. So I just want to illustrate the twists that we'll be doing. They're never going to come from the low back. They're always going to come from the upper back, the thoracic spine. So when we twist, we're just extending the spine really long and then imagining the rib cage rotating around the axis of the spine. If you are twisting and you come to here and then you feel resistance and you feel like you can't go any further, we're not trying to contort ourselves here at all. Show up to where you are today and know that that will continue to grow and change if you keep showing up to it every day. So with the hand, let's go ahead and face towards the mat again. With the hand, left hand on the low back, extend the spine long, press down through that strong foundation in the hands. And then just the rib cage is rotating open to the left. Deep breath in. And exhale, unwind. 2 more just like that. Inhale, open up to the left. Exhale, unwind. Inhale, open up to the left. And unwind. Nice. Sit back for a moment. You can roll out the wrists. Take 2 deep breaths. And then we'll meet back in your tabletop. With the left hand underneath the nose this time, spread the fingers really wide. Press down through that first finger pad, claw the earth with the fingertips. Bring the right hand to the low back. Press down to lift up out of the shoulder. And then this time you're just rotating the rib cage to the right. This side will likely feel different. And exhale back to face the mat. Inhale, twist. Exhale, unwind. Last one, inhale, twist. And exhale, unwind. Come back to sit on your heels. So we've learned almost all of the basic spinal movements by now. We have our spinal extension, we have our back bend, we have our forward fold, and we have our twist. And our twist is really helping to keep the thoracic spine, the upper back mobile, which I think we all want. The next and final one is our lateral spinal movements. So come back into your stable tabletop again and find that strong foundation in the hands. And then take your right foot back with the toes curled under, press through the heel just for a moment. And then when you feel ready, we're going to lift that leg up and cross it over onto the left side. So your right foot is on the left side of the body. And then we're going to look over the left shoulder towards our right toes. And then breathe into the right side of your body. Just 2 breaths. Strong breaths. And the exhale brings you back to center. Inhale, take the left leg back. Curl the toes under, press through the heels. Lift the foot up when you're ready, cross it over onto the right side, and look over your right shoulder towards your left toes. Breathe into the left side of the body. Just 3 strong breaths. Last one. And as you exhale, bring it back to center. Come back to sit on your heels for just a moment. So we've learned all the spinal movements. Look at us go. We're now going to move on to some more challenging yoga postures that might come easy to you. You just never know. The first one is downward facing dog, and this one is a common yoga pose, but often not explained. And I'm going to teach it today in reference to the spine, the movement of the spine. There's a lot going on in a downward facing dog, but we're really going to focus on how to find the most spinal extension in your downward facing dog. So I'm just going to demonstrate it once first. If you don't need a demonstration, you're welcome to come along with me and just practice with me. Otherwise, you can just watch for a moment. So we'll first start in our stable tabletop, and we'll find that strong foundation in the hands. Spread the fingers wide, press down through that first finger pad, claw the earth with the fingertips, curl the toes under, and then we're going to lift our hips up towards the sky, keeping the knees bent. The feet are about hip width distance apart, maybe just a little bit wider. So I like to keep my knees bent, especially in my first few, or if I need a lot of spinal extension, and then keeping them bent, lift the tailbone up towards the sky. And with that, I'm pressing through the hands to reach my heart through the arms back towards my thighs. So it really doesn't matter if your heels are touching the ground or not, and your knees can stay really, really bent just until you feel a long line of extension from the tailbone all the way down to the crown of the head. So that's what we're going to practice today, the long line of extension. And you can come into it, you can come out of it anytime that you need. You never have to just, force yourself to hold it. That's not the point of yoga. That is not the point of yoga. So just breathe and let your breath guide you on what is okay for you today and what is not okay for you today. If you're coming with me, come into your tabletop, spread the fingers wide, press down through that first finger pad, claw the earth with the fingertips, curl the toes under, lift your hips up into your downward facing dog. You can take a moment here just to walk one foot out and then the other. And then make sure your feet are about hip width distance apart, or maybe a little bit wider if you need. And then bend the knees, send the tailbone up towards the sky, and reach your heart back towards your thighs. Breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow, deep breaths. Allow your breath to move into the back of the body. Last one, deep breath in. Open mouth, exhale, breathe out. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Come into a standing forward fold. Here's where you might like to have your blocks. I said that funny. Here's where you might like to have your blocks. So come into your fold, and the blocks are just here to lift the ground up a little bit. Also, bending your knees here or in any posture is really just going to help to decompress in the low back. So you can have your knees bent. Find that strong foundation, this time in the feet. So let the toes spread really wide. Press down through the heel of the foot as much as you're pressing down through the top of the foot. The front of the foot. Just breathe into your body. Let the weight of the head hang. That's another habit that I see with myself and other beginners, is to crick in the neck and try to look towards the ground. Instead, just try to look between the knees. Take one more deep breath here. Bring the hands onto the blocks, and we're going to inhale, lift up halfway. So we're back in our spinal extension. The crown of the head is reaching forward. Tailbone is reaching back behind you. Breathe. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, go ahead and fold one more time. Bend the knees, and with a flat back, inhale, bring the arms out wide and up over the head as you stand. Exhale, draw the hands down in front of the heart. Awesome. So we're now just going to try a little standing back bend. It's not as scary as it sounds. Just show up to where you are today. So the feet are hip width distance apart. Bring your hands onto your hips. We're going to find the spinal extension here standing. So your tailbone draws down towards the ground. The crown of the head is drawing up towards the sky. Bring the shoulders up, around, and down the back and in towards each other. If you can, slide the hands down so that the fingertips are facing down and they're on your palms are on your low back. Shoulder blades are squeezing together, keeping that tailbone pointing down because that just helps engage the low belly core. We're just going to lift the heart up and lean back a little bit. We're only leaning back from the middle of our upper back, right between the shoulder blades. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And as you exhale, come back up to standing. So now that you know where we're going, we're just going to try that one more time. And imagine your tailbone growing down towards the ground. So your core is really engaged and your heart is pulling forward and lifting up away from the hips as you kind of C-curve back behind you, kind of like an ocean wave. So when you're ready, draw the tailbone down. Shoulder blades move in towards each other. Slide the palms down so they're on the low back. And then lift the heart up and lean back. And it might just be a little micro bend today, but that's okay. Just move where you can still breathe. Deep breath in, fill up the whole body. And then exhale, back to standing. Let your hands hang. Just finding a little bit of twist here. We're just going to rock from side to side and come up on the tippy toe of the opposite leg where your arms are moving. So your knees are moving with you. So this is a spinal twist too. You can do this when you're waiting in line to pay for groceries. You can do this while you're making dinner. Spinal twist. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and slowly let that come to stop. It's really fun, so I can imagine you don't want to stop doing it. We're going to grab one of our blocks, set it on its tallest setting towards the front of the mat, and then bring your right foot on the inside of that block. And we're going to send the left foot back. It's a wide stance. The front toes are pointing towards the front of the mat, and the back toes are pointing to the side of the mat at a 90-degree angle. We want to check to see that our front heel is lining up with our back arch. Our front heel is lined up with our back arch. We're going to come down into a lunge with that front knee, and I want you to just heel toe your foot forward as far as you need so that when you come down into this lunge, your knee is stacking on top of your ankle. It's not moving to the side or too far forward. It's right on top of the ankle. And then bring your hands onto your hips. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. We're going to find our spinal extension here. So imagine the tailbone is drawing towards the ground. It's a little bit more tricky here with a hip opener, but imagine that it's drawing down towards the ground. Sinking down into that lunge to wherever you feel comfortable, and the crown of the head lifts up, shoulder blades are moving in towards each other. When you feel ready, go ahead and lift the arms out like a T and then take them back in space just a little bit so you feel really spacious across the heart. Breathe in. Breathe out. Here we are in our warrior two. Warrior two. Warrior two. Sounds really funny to me today. Breathe in. Tailbone rooting down, crown of the head lifting up, shoulder blades moving towards each other. Sink down, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, straighten the front leg, lift the arms up over the head. As you exhale, bring the hands down in front of the heart. You're doing awesome. So we're going to keep the feet where they are, keep the foundation really strong, but our legs are going to be, both legs are going to be straight this time. We never want to lock our joints, so there's always a buoyancy or a micro bend in our knees. And then bring the arms out like a T again. Root the tailbone down, crown of the head grows long towards the sky. Keep that length and start to reach the fingertips forward, reach, reach, reach. When you feel really long, go ahead and drop that right hand down onto the shin or the block on the outside of the shin. Bring the left hand to the hip. Extend the spine long again. And then twisting just from the rib cage, rotating around the spine as you trust yourself and lean back just a little bit. So here we are in a spinal extension, a twist, and a lateral spinal movement. Breathe in. One more, breathe in. On your next breath in, stand up. Bring the toes to face the front. Heels in, toes point out on a diagonal. Reach the arms out like a V, victory pose, yay pose. Breathe in. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart. Breathe into a yay pose. Exhale, hands to the heart. One more time, yay pose. Root the tailbone down, reach the crown of the head up, and then lean back just from right behind the heart. Exhale, hands to the heart. You just did a standing back bend. Look at you go. We're going to take the block onto the other side and set it on the outside of the left foot this time. And then set your foundation up. So check in that your front toes are pointing towards now the back edge of the mat. The back toes are pointing straight out on a 90-degree angle. Front heel is in line with the back arch. Hands on the hips. Heel toe that foot as far forward as you need so that when you sink down into your lunge, it's more or less stacked on top of your knee, on top of your ankle. I say more or less because we might not be ready to sink fully down into a lunge yet. It might be here, and that's okay. We'll continue to find a little bit more space in the hips. We're gonna get there. Don't you even worry about it. So with the hands on the hips, let the tailbone grow long, crown of the head lifts up towards the sky. Roll the shoulders down the back and in towards each other. Breathe in. When you're ready, extend the arms out. Feel really spacious, so you might want to move your arms back in space just a little bit and look over your front fingertips. Sink down into your lunge. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. On your next breath in, we're going to straighten the leg and both arms lift up over the head. Exhale, bring the hands down in front of the heart. Breathe in. Breathe out. Bring your hands onto your hips. Find the buoyancy in the knees, so make sure that you're not locking those knee joints. Grow the tailbone long, crown of the head up towards the sky, lots of space in the front of the body. Reach the arms out like a T again. And then we're just going to reach the fingertips forward, sending the hips back. Reach, reach, reach. Take that left hand down to the block or the shin, right hand to the hips. Extend the spine long, and then rotate the rib cage open to the right, and then lean back. Spinal extension, lateral movement, bit of a twist. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in and out. On your next breath in, you'll lift back up. Bring the heels in, toes out, hands on your hips. Let the shoulders relax. Tailbone grows long. Heart lifts away from the hips, crown of the head lifts up towards the sky. Feeling really strong and powerful in this moment. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in and out. And then, like the graceful swan that we are, we're just going to slowly come down into a seat on the mat. Look how far you've come. We are almost done with your first yoga class. Bring the soles of the feet to touch, and we're just going to sit up as tall as we can here. Your feet can be in as close as you want. This is going to be more intense, and the further away they are from your seat, the less intense the pose becomes. And we're sitting more towards the front of the seat, so we're drawing our pelvis forward as we reach the heart forward, kind of like we do when we're in our cow pose on hands and knees. Close your eyes so there's no judgment. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, you're just going to start to fold. And you're closing your eyes so there's no judgment, leading with the heart. So our goal is not to get our knee to our feet or our nose to our feet. That is not the goal. The only thing we're trying to do here is leading with the heart to fold forward, keeping our spine really long. So you're probably feeling this in your outer hips a lot, the low back, but it should feel like a stretch, not painful. We're not forcing anything. Maybe your forward fold doesn't even look like a fold at all. That's my husband's main complaint, is it doesn't feel like he's moving at all, but that's okay. Show up to where you are today. That's the only way that you'll find growth. If we try to push ourselves before we're ready, then we'll just injure our bodies and we'll have to take an even further step back. So just show up to where you are. Begin there. Breathe in. Breathe out. On your next breath in, lifting back up into your seat. And then we're going to come to lie on the ground. Bring your feet as wide as the mat and just let your knees fall in towards each other, and then walk the shoulder blades underneath the body so you feel really open and spacious across the chest. Breathe in. Keeping the feet where they are, we're just going to let both knees fall over towards the left. Take 2 breaths here. Inhale your legs back up. Breathe in. And then exhale, let the knees fall over to the opposite side. Keep the feet as wide as the mat. 2 breaths. Inhale, lifts your knees back up. Go ahead and hug the knees in towards the body and just rock from side to side for a moment. Then we're going to let both the knees fall onto the left side of the body, and then extend the right arm back behind you. So our goal is for our knees and our shoulder to be on the ground, but it's okay if that's not where you are right away. Just let the breath kind of relax the body into release. We're just going to take 2 or 3 breaths here. So really directing your breath into the places of your body that feel really restricted. This is a great pose for spinal health, for digestive health. And then when you're ready, lift the knees back up to the center. Take a breath. Dropping them over onto the right side, stacking the hips, stacking the knees, and then extending the left arm back behind you. With the palm facing up. Couple of breaths here. It's okay if your shoulder's not on the ground right away. Just breathe to help your body relax. In the coming classes, we will hold twists for a little bit longer, so you'll be able to find more relaxation. And then we'll lift the knees up. Place the feet down. So your choice here, if you want to find your final resting pose with the knees bent and the feet as wide as the mat and the knees fall in towards each other. This is really good if you have anything going on in the low back. Or you can extend the legs out long, coming into a traditional Shavasana. Feeling really free to just let your body take up space. With your eyes closed, just completely let yourself surrender. Letting everything we just learned and worked through in our body integrate. It's your time to just be, just relax, just breathe. Showing up to this moment with complete surrender. Deep breath together, in through the nose, fill up the whole body. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. You can stay here for as long as you're privileged to have time. Bringing the hands onto the heart. Give yourself the gratitude you deserve for showing up today as you are and trying something new. I'm so excited that you're here. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 2 of our yoga series for the absolute beginner. You are incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste.